United States forces eliminated a major threat to Christians in Nigeria, and you won't believe how it happened. His last name is Manuki. He is described by President Trump as ISIS #2 leader globally in a joint operation in northeastern Nigeria. I'll show you here on the map where this was. You can see multiple things can be true at the same time, and multiple operations are happening. Northeast, you've got Kuwait City, and you have the Middle East, the Persian Gulf, and then about 1,500, I want to say about 1,900 kilometers to the southwest, about 1,500 miles, is the area of Nigeria. I believe the town is called Maiduguri, and that's exactly where they tracked this guy down. This wasn't some low-level fighter that was hiding in a bush or in a hole. Officials say this was a top ISIS figure tied to planning attacks, hostage-taking, financing, and the wider terror network operating in this Lake Chad basin. According to Trump and the armed forces of Nigeria, they carried out what he called a meticulously planned and very complex mission to remove Manuki from the battlefield. I've got a clip here of this joint strike. This is coming in from AFRICOM. Here's the footage of this Predator drone that is tracking these guys, and they've been tracking them for quite a while, and you can see these white dots here running, and just in a second, you're going to see they are going to be leaving the area one way or another for quite a while. I want to say they've killed about 120,000 Christians over the last year and a half, and he'll no longer terrorize the people of Africa or help plan any of these operations that have been targeting Americans. I've got an image here of this guy. This is Manuki here on the left. And the United States is not going to allow these groups to exist. The President of the United States is not going to allow them to carry on terrorizing Christians. Christians for a long time have been targeted in Africa, specifically South Africa, but now ISIS has started to moved into these areas where natural resources are very heavily involved, and there's a lot of money around that. And I believe that's why ISIS is in that region in the first place, but he's not going to be there for very much longer. Now, we've got Today's video is sponsored by Kirkstone Metals. Here's the plain English version. America needs uranium. We need it for power. We need it for national security. We need it right here at home. But right now, we don't produce enough of it ourselves. We still rely way too much on foreign supply, and when countries like Russia and China and Iran have major influence over the nuclear fuel supply, that is why the U.S. Department of Energy is putting $2.7 billion towards restoring American uranium enrichment, and that is where Kirkstone Metals comes in. Kirkstone's trades as KSMCF in the U.S., KSM in Canada. They control two 100% owned uranium projects in the Athabasca Basin, one of the best uranium districts in the world. So with uranium prices moving higher, America trying to bring this supply chain back home, Kirkstone is a company worth taking a look at. Check the link in the description to learn more, and thanks to Kirkstone Metals for making today's video possible. Nothing here is financial advice. Always do your own research. X post or True Social post from the president tonight at my directions. Brave American forces, armed forces of Nigeria, flawlessly executed a meticulously planned, very complex mission to get rid of Abu Bilal al-Manuki. If I got his name wrong, I don't care. But little did he know we had sources who kept us informed on what he was doing. So this is the #2 globally, and he'll no longer terrorize the people of Africa or help planned operations to target Americans. A lot of Americans have been targeted through this area, and like the president says, we're not going to deal with this guy anymore. Multiple stories coming out of Reuters, the AP, even the BBC are bringing this about, and this guy is not, like I said, he has not been a nice guy. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that will probably say that he is the victim, but I'll just give you a little information about this guy. He was also known as Abu Manak. He was tied to ISIS West Africa, this province there. It's a branch operating across northeast Nigeria, that Lake Chad region. It's been one of the most dangerous jihadist battlegrounds in the world. And the Lake Chad Basin has been hit for years by Boko Haram. You'll remember under President Obama where they took all the girls, where are girls, that kind of thing. This is the same group. And these Islamic militant factions, they're just trying to increase this insurgency in that region. And it's lasted almost 20 years. They've killed thousands. I would say probably close to 150, 180,000 people. And they've displaced about 2 million people. But this guy was not just another battlefield commander. According to the president and all information, the Trump Post reporting around the operation, he was described as ISIS second in command. The Washington Post reported he had a major role in ISIS activity across West Africa, manufacturing operations, transporting guns, human trafficking, coordinating between ISIS-linked factions. The Secretary of War put it even more directly. According to the Transtip, he said how Manuki was responsible for overseeing attack planning, directing hostage taking, managing financial operations. This guy was keeping the ISIS machine running, the money, the planning, the propaganda, the hostage, the structure behind the violence. And to understand why this matters, you have to understand Nigeria's terror war. ISIS West Africa is a province that's basically grew out of this split inside of Boko Haram. Boko Haram became famous for these mass killings, the kidnappings, the attacks on villages, attacks on churches, and the kidnapping of those schoolgirls back in, I want to say it was 2014. Over time, ISIS recognized a faction in the region, and we've got to clean up this area. Cameroon, Chad, Niger, Mali, just a hotbed of bad actors. But at the same time, there is a massive demand by China and Russia. They are trying to get into this area because of all the natural resources that they want to purchase there. So ISIS, that's why they're there. If there's an opportunity for them to go somewhere and make a little money, that's exactly what they're going to do. And this Lake Chad Basin that you can see right here, this is a hotbed. It is remote. It's hard to police. It's full of villages, smuggling routes, militant camps. That's why leaders like this Manuki guy operate there. They can move weapons. They can have the region as a safe haven. And that's what makes this operation significant. This is not some low-level leader that was taken out, not some guy that's just driving around a truck with a gun in the back. When you remove a leader involved in planning money, hostage-taking, weapons, you're cutting into their actual network. So the big question now is, does this strike seriously weaken ISIS in Africa, or is it just another jihadist simply step into his place? Either way, one thing's clear. U.S. and Nigerian forces sent a message. If you're helping run ISIS, if you're targeting civilians, we're going to come after you. We're going to find you, and we're going to remove you. And I'm sure that this faction will regroup, but it's definitely a big dent into their planning. Nigeria's military says its airstrikes killed 35 Islamic militants. So the people there, they are under constant persecution. This is spreading around the world. And if you've got to take the battle to them. You have to get rid of this on their turf. And over the last, I want to say it was back in February, there was a funeral in that region, and this Boko Haram came in at the funeral, and they killed, I want to say 120 people at the funeral. And there was a preacher that actually got in the grave that they had dug and made this call to the United States, to the United Nations, because they've really ignored this. And I don't think we're going to ignore it any further. And the president right now is all about trying to get rid of the bad actors in that area. I want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Smash the like and subscribe button. We have to keep an eye on this because ISIS could very well regroup and retaliate and try to, target more American forces in that area. Maybe take some more. Thank you for watching.